In the 1970s, every kitchen had its secrets, but some of the most cherished ones came in a box. The first thing many a latchkey kid or a mother tired from a long day knew was the simple, satisfying ritual of preheating the oven for a TV dinner. It was a time of profound change, a decade caught between the idealism of the 60s and the consumerism of the 80s. And nowhere was this more evident than on the dinner table, or more accurately, on the TV tray. The glow of the television set was the new hearth, and the meals served before it were a testament to a new kind of American life, one that valued convenience as much as tradition. And at the heart of this new tradition was the Salisbury steak. It was for many the quintessential TV dinner, a savory, oblong patty of ground beef nestled in a pool of rich, brown gravy that always seemed to have a slightly metallic tang from the aluminum tray. To its side, a scoop of mashed potatoes, often with a dollop of butter that would melt into a golden pool, and a portion of bright green peas, sometimes mixed with diced carrots. It wasn't a meal that pretended to be homemade, but it was a meal that promised comfort, a warm and filling plate that could be on the table in under 30 minutes, a modern marvel for a modern age. Of course, the Salisbury steak was just the beginning. The frozen food aisle of the 1970s was a veritable smorgasbord of rectangular delights, each with its own unique character and place in the hierarchy of TV dinner royalty. Walking down that aisle was like entering a gallery of American culinary dreams, each box promising a different adventure, a different taste of the good life. The fried chicken dinner, for instance, was a weekend treat, a special occasion meal that felt like a Sunday dinner without the fuss. 2 or 3 pieces of breaded chicken, their skins promising a crispiness that the oven sometimes struggled to deliver, would sit alongside those same familiar mashed potatoes and a syrupy sweet serving of corn. The chicken pieces were often drumsticks and thighs, the dark meat holding up better to the freezing and reheating process than the more delicate breast meat. And, if you were lucky, a small, square brownie, a dense and fudgy reward for finishing your vegetables. The brownie was perhaps the most anticipated part of the meal, a sweet ending that made even the most reluctant eater clean their plate. But the real magic happened with the brands themselves. Swanson, the granddaddy of them all, carried a certain prestige. Their boxes were elegant, their portions generous, and their quality consistent. A Swanson TV dinner was a step up from the competition, a mark of middle-class respectability. Banquet, on the other hand, was the everyman's choice, the budget-friendly option that still delivered on taste and satisfaction. Their portions might have been smaller, their ingredients perhaps not quite as premium, but they were reliable and affordable, a godsend for families stretching their grocery budgets. Then there was Hungry Man, the behemoth of the TV dinner world. These weren't just meals, they were challenges. With portions that could satisfy even the heartiest appetite, Hungry Man dinners were a testament to American excess, a celebration of the idea that bigger was always better. The turkey dinner alone could weigh over a pound, with slabs of turkey thick enough to require a steak knife, mountains of mashed potatoes and vegetables that seemed almost incidental to the protein-heavy feast. Then there was the turkey with stuffing, a taste of Thanksgiving any day of the week. It was a meal that evoked the warmth and comfort of the holidays, even on a random Tuesday in April. The thinly sliced turkey, often arranged in a neat fan, was smothered in a savory gravy, and the stuffing, a moist and herby concoction, was a welcome departure from the usual vegetable sides. A small, jewel-like serving of cranberry sauce, tart and sweet, cut through the richness of the meal, a bright and tangy counterpoint to the savory flavors. For those with a more international palate, there were options like the cheese enchiladas, a bold and flavorful departure from the classic American fare. These enchiladas were a taste of something different, a culinary adventure in a foil tray. 2 or 3 corn tortillas filled with a molten core of cheese and smothered in a tangy red sauce were often accompanied by a side of Spanish rice and refried beans. It was a meal that was both comforting and exciting, a sign that the world was getting smaller, that even in the heart of suburban America, you could find a taste of Mexico. And who could forget the simple, unpretentious pleasure of the meatloaf dinner? A thick slice of meatloaf, its top glazed with a sweet and tangy ketchup-based sauce, was the star of this show. It was a meal that felt like a hug, a comforting and familiar taste of home. The mashed potatoes were there, of course, as was the obligatory vegetable, but the meatloaf was the main event, a hearty and satisfying centerpiece that never failed to please. For the children of the 70s, there was a special kind of magic in the Libbyland line of TV dinners. These weren't just meals, they were adventures wrapped in aluminum foil. The Pirate Picnic, with its hot dogs and tater tots, came complete with a treasure map on the box and a small plastic toy that might be a compass or a miniature pirate flag. The Safari Supper, with its animal-shaped chicken nuggets, transported young diners to the African savannah, where lions and elephants made of breaded chicken awaited their discovery. The boxes were brightly colored and covered in cartoons, featuring characters that seemed to leap off the packaging with promises of fun and adventure. But Libbyland wasn't the only brand catering to the younger set. There were also the Morton's mini meals, perfectly sized for small appetites, and the Stouffer's macaroni and cheese, a creamy, cheesy delight that was perhaps the ultimate comfort food for children. The mac and cheese came in its own little casserole dish, the pasta shells swimming in a sauce that was somehow both artificial and irresistible. It was a meal that could turn even the pickiest eater into a member of the Clean Plate Club. And then there was the phenomenon of the spaghetti and meatballs dinner, a taste of Italy that was both exotic and familiar. The spaghetti, often slightly overcooked and swimming in a sweet tomato sauce, was topped with 3 or 4 small meatballs that were dense and flavorful. Sometimes there was a small piece of garlic bread, wrapped in its own foil packet, that would emerge from the oven, crispy and buttery. It was a meal that felt sophisticated, a taste of the old country that could be enjoyed in the comfort of your own living room. And then there were the more grown-up options, the meals that hinted at a more sophisticated palate. The beef stroganoff, with its tender strips of beef and a creamy mushroom sauce over a bed of egg noodles, was a touch of elegance in a frozen food world. It was a meal that felt special, a taste of fine dining that could be enjoyed in the comfort of your own living room. The chicken pot pie, with its flaky crust and creamy filling, was another classic, a hearty and satisfying meal that was perfect for a cold winter's night. And for those who craved the flavors of the sea, there was the fish and chips dinner, a taste of the British seaside that was both simple and satisfying. These meals, and so many others like them, were more than just a convenient way to eat. They were a reflection of the times, a symbol of a changing America. They were a testament to the power of technology to transform our lives, to make the impossible possible. And they were a source of comfort and nostalgia, a reminder of a time when life seemed simpler, when a hot meal and a good TV show were all you needed to be happy. But how did this nightly ritual actually unfold? For those who didn't live through it, it's easy to imagine a world of instant gratification, a quick zap in the microwave, and dinner is served. But the 1970s were a pre-microwave world for most households. The microwave oven, while invented in the 1940s, didn't become a common household appliance until the late 1970s and early 1980s. The TV dinner was a product of the conventional oven, and its preparation was a study in patience and anticipation, a slow dance between hunger and technology. It began at the grocery store, in the frozen food aisle, a brightly lit wonderland of frosty glass doors and colorful cardboard boxes. The aisle itself was a marvel of modern refrigeration, with long cases that hummed quietly, their glass doors fogged with condensation. Here, a weekly shopping trip would involve a careful selection of the family's favorite meals, a Tetris-like arrangement of boxes in the shopping cart, and a race against time to get them home before they thawed. The boxes were stacked like building blocks, each one a promise of a future meal, a small investment in convenience. The grocery shopping experience of the 1970s was different from today. There were no self-checkout lanes, no barcode scanners. The checkout clerk would ring up each item individually, often memorizing the prices of common items. The TV dinners, with their distinctive rectangular boxes, were easy to spot in price. A typical Swanson dinner might cost 79 cents, while a banquet dinner could be had for as little as 59 cents. For a family of 4, A week's worth of TV dinners might cost less than $10, a significant savings compared to the cost of fresh ingredients for home-cooked meals. Once home, the TV dinners would be stacked in the freezer, a library of future meals waiting to be chosen. On a typical weeknight, the process would begin with the preheating of the oven. The sound of the gas igniting or the electric coils beginning to glow was the starting gun for the evening's culinary event. The chosen dinner would be removed from its box, its aluminum tray cool to the touch. Then came the most crucial step, the venting of the foil. A few carefully placed slits in the foil lid, or a corner peeled back just so, was essential for a successful outcome. Too much venting and the food would dry out. Too little, and it would be a soggy, steamy mess. It was a delicate art, one that was perfected through trial and error. Then into the oven it went, for what seemed like an eternity to a hungry child. The air would slowly fill with the aroma of cooking food, a tantalizing preview of the meal to come. After what felt like an age but was probably closer to 25 minutes, it was time for the next step. The dinner would be carefully removed from the oven, the aluminum tray now searingly hot. This was the moment of truth, the grand reveal. The foil lid would be peeled back, releasing a cloud of steam to reveal the compartmentalized meal within. The mashed potatoes would be fluffed with a fork, the gravy stirred, and the brownie, if there was one, would be set aside to cool. But the preparation wasn't over yet. The TV dinner was not meant to be eaten at a dining room table. It was a meal designed for the living room, for the soft glow of the television screen. And so out would come the TV trays, those iconic pieces of 1970s furniture. They were often decorated with floral patterns or geometric designs, their spindly legs unfolding with a satisfying click. A tray would be set up for each member of the family, a personal dining station in front of the evening's entertainment. The hot aluminum tray would be placed on a placemat, a glass of milk or soda to the side, and a fork and knife at the ready. And then, at last, it was time to eat. The family would settle in for an evening of television, their meals balanced on their laps, the sound of the TV a constant companion. It was a shared experience, a communal ritual that brought families together in a new and modern way. The television programming of the 1970s was perfectly suited to this new dining arrangement. Shows like The Waltons, Little House on the Prairie, and Happy Days provided wholesome family entertainment that could be enjoyed while eating. The laugh tracks of sitcoms like All in the Family and The Mary Tyler Moore Show created a sense of community, as if the family was dining with friends. The living room itself was transformed into a dining space. The coffee table might be pushed aside to make room for the TV trays, and the sofa cushions would be adjusted for optimal viewing angles. The lighting was dimmed to reduce glare on the television screen, creating an intimate, almost theatrical atmosphere. Children would often sit on the floor, their TV trays at a lower height, while parents claimed the prime real estate of the sofa. It was a far cry from the formal dining rooms of the past, with their starched linens and polite conversation. This was dinner in the age of television, a casual and relaxed affair that reflected the changing rhythms of American life. The conversation was different too, often centered around the television program rather than the events of the day. Did you see what Fonzie did? Or, I can't believe what happened on Dallas, became the new dinner table talk. The television had become the third parent, the silent member of the family that shaped conversations and created shared memories. Today, the TV dinner has been transformed. The aluminum tray has been replaced by a plastic one, the oven by the microwave. The cooking time has been reduced from 30 minutes to 3. The variety of meals has exploded, with options that cater to every taste and dietary need. And yet something has been lost in the transition. The sense of anticipation, the ritual of preparation, the shared experience of a family gathered around the television set. These are things that cannot be replicated by a microwave. The TV dinners of the 1970s were more than just a meal. They were a cultural phenomenon, a symbol of a time when convenience was a novelty and a frozen dinner could feel like a feast. So what can we learn from this trip down the frozen food aisle of memory? Perhaps it's that the simplest things can create the most enduring memories. The TV dinners of the 1970s were not gourmet cuisine. but they were a part of the fabric of everyday life, a shared experience that brought families together in a way that feels almost quaint today. They remind us that the pursuit of convenience is not a new phenomenon, but one that has been shaping our lives for decades. And they teach us that there is a certain magic in the imperfect, a nostalgia for a time when a meal didn't have to be artisanal or organic to be satisfying. It just had to be hot, filling, and enjoyed in good company, even if that company was the cast of your favorite television show. In the end, the story of the 1970s TV dinner is not just about the food. It's about the families who ate them, the homes they were eaten in, and the memories that were made around the warm glow of the television set. They were a taste of a time gone by, a simple pleasure in a rapidly changing world. And for that, they will always have a special place in our hearts and in the history of the American kitchen.